Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Mindset of a Champion. I'm joined today by Dean Mcvie, who is a under 80 kilogram and occasionally under 90 kilogram strongman competitor. Dean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hiya, how you doing? My name's Dean Mcvie. I'm a strength coach based in Edinburgh. I'm currently Scotland's strongest man under 80s and under 90s, and I hold the Scottish under 80 records and the deadlift and log. And I've got a couple other titles, but that's enough.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on here, man. Our first foray into strongman on this video series. So let's start with your background. How did you find yourself involved in the sport of strongman or in strength training in general?
Initially, it was when I was 15. Just because I had a bit of rough upbringing and all that kind of stuff. Like my mum passed away and over my dad. It was quite negative as a teenager, and then pretty much I just channeled that bad energy into positive energy in some form by just exercising. Realised that how much benefit I was actually getting from it. It was initially inspiration, we'll say, strong word for like bodybuilding training, and just started doing that for like years upon years, and then just done a bit of competitive bodybuilding, and then transitioned over to strength sports, we'll say, and that was it really.
Wow. So you mentioned you had quite a difficult background and quite a lot of tragedy in your life.
Yeah.
And you channeled that energy into something productive to succeed.
That's it, exactly.
And you mentioned that you obviously you suffered quite a lot, but you managed to make that into something positive. How did strength training facilitate that for you?
I think it was like I wasn't aware of what I was doing, but like endorphins and all that kind of stuff. Like it was just making me feel better, and that was the big thing. And it was like probably a little bit addicted to it as well, because you get endorphin release all sorts of things in it, but exercise you didn't feel bad after it. If that makes sense.
Right.
And that's sort of the way I took it, innit? And I just took it in my stride and just enjoyed it. Just a creature of habit. Just kept a routine and just kept going and going, and then just kept producing the goods, we'll say.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because obviously there is a biochemical response to exercise, right? As you say, you have an endorphin rush, and that keeps you coming back, especially if you don't have a huge amount of positivity in other aspects of your life. That then leads you to, the gym becomes somewhat of a sanctuary for you.
Yeah,
And
yeah, definitely.
yeah, and you can keep obviously doing that, as you say, and seeing progression as well.
Yeah, that's it, and it's all good.
You mentioned then that you got into competitive bodybuilding. Now,
Yeah.
how did your mindset change once you kind of dialed it in more specifically to bodybuilding versus general fitness?
More there's restriction of food, we'll say, because obviously the whole intention is a calorie deficit and just pretty much burning the candle at both ends almost. So it was just slowly reducing my body fat, but obviously the lower your body fat is, like when you start getting that lower range, you start feeling pretty shit, if I'm being honest. And this is where the deprivation comes. More psychologically, you're fatigued as well. You just run down, hormones aren't too good either, especially because it was like natty bodybuilding, natural. Aye. So the more leaner and ripped you get, the worse you feel. That's just it.
Right. No, it's really to me personally as well, bodybuilding is a completely different animal in that respect because you have to put yourself through the training, as you say. You've got to maintain the routine, but you've also got to suffer the physiological side effects of being so deprived for such a long period of time as well, like leading into the show. And then at the end of it, you've got to get on stage and be judged superficially for how you look as well, which isn't easy.
That's sort of why I stepped away from it as well, because it's like when I was prepping for like my final comp bodybuilding, I just met a friend that competed in strongman, and he was really good as well. And I was just intrigued by it, and I was like, that was already when the seed was planted. And I was like, I'm probably going to go that direction after this because I'm not really enjoying this. Like, it's a great sport. It's so disciplined, but it's not for everyone, mate. That's all I could say.
Right. No, absolutely. And did you find that once you made that transition over to strongman, the discipline from bodybuilding carried over into training
It
for
definitely,
strongman?
I think bodybuilding definitely had its perks anyway through like a mental discipline, all that kind of stuff. I'd say strongman was just a wee bit more relaxed, even powerlifting, because like bodybuilding's 24/7, every hour counts. Where strongman and powerlifting could be a bit more relaxed and that kind of stuff, especially with your food. Stuff like that can be a wee bit more exciting, a wee bit more fun. Where bodybuilding's like you're just burning that candle as long as you can until you get on stage. We'll say, if that makes sense. Aye.
Right. And it does, especially you described obviously your natural, well, you did natural bodybuilding, so it's, it took a
Yeah,
huge toll on you hormonally. What actually kept you going when you were competing in bodybuilding and you were burning the candle at both ends?
just determined. I knew I was aware of what was happening, and I know why I'm feeling like this is because I'm deprived and I'm in a deficit. I'm starting to feel like shit. So I was very conscious of why I was feeling like that, and I always had to keep that in my mind to be like, right, this is happening for a reason right now. But it got rough. It can get rough at times. If you're speed bumps, we'll call them.
Yeah, and obviously you had tremendous mental discipline to be able to kind of be conscious in the moment that you're suffering, you feel terrible, and you're not enjoying even the training aspect of it, and understandably the food as well because of how deprived you are.
Yeah.
But there's a grander goal there. There's a wider vision, which is to win or to do well. So you persevere through the hardship.
Yeah. You learn a lot about yourself when you're in a bit of a dark place when you're like prepping, especially for bodybuilding.
What did you learn?
I realised that what's the term? I was probably quite emotional as well. I used to get like quite upset and all that kind of stuff as well. I think that was just general fatigue as well, deprivation. I genuinely thought I was going to be creating an eating disorder as well, which was really concerning as well.
Right.
That's how bad it can get. It can be so touchy for like bodybuilders and that. Like some people just shouldn't do it because it's like it's at the end of the day it's fucking dangerous as well. So you're not doing your body any good. You know what I mean? You're technically starving yourself, but you're like giving it just enough nutrition to keep ticking over while trying to maintain muscle mass. But you're still burning that candle. Both ends.
Yeah. No, I can really see that, especially, when, as you say, you start to unravel a little bit mentally and emotionally. You're not because you not only are you completely surrounded by this process that you have to get right all the time without fail, but you're also constantly assessing your physique. You're assessing your opponent's physiques, and you're kind of, I would imagine, being also quite critical of yourself in that respect, given the goal, right? So it's understandable that you eventually came to that conclusion that you seem very sure of now, to perhaps take a step away from the sport and leave it in your past.
Yeah. 100%.
No, it really is interesting to hear about the eating disorder side of things as well, because you evidently, one of the people who are probably more suited to being able to do it because of the mental discipline you've described, being able to kind of pick yourself up out of that dark place and continue to succeed, but then having that awareness that it's probably not going to do you much good physically, mentally, emotionally in the long run as
That's
well.
it. You nailed it in the head, man.
But now we move over to strongman, and as you said, a little bit more relaxed in some aspects, but not in others. What compelled you to commit to strongman then?
I think it was like I was saying when I was prepping for my last comp and all that kind of stuff. I used to, when I was in the Marines, my mate Kieran Richards, he got me into it. gave me a glint of interest in it, and then it was always at the back of my mind, and also powerlifting. But I just seen my mate Ryan Reid, who's a Scotland's strongest man opens competitor, and then I just started speaking to him, and then I was just like, I'm going to start doing this, and then I just signed up for my first comp, a novice comp. Tough comp, to be honest, a lot of competitors, but I knew that was it. I was like, I'm fucking doing this now. Like this is a sport for me, because it's all in. I don't know, I'm not reliant on anyone. You know, like I get like rugby and football and that, all respect to that, but like it's so cut and dry that it's just you on this, the stage, because that's bodybuilding as well. That's another one. It's an individual sport in some form, but you're just there. It's like, I need to perform now. No one else is going to help me. No one can jump in and spot you or anything. You're fucking there, and you need to get your reps. So you need to like hit X, Y, and Z up. And it gets interesting.
No, it is. And especially kind of, you've already described a little bit of the what you see as the characteristics that a strongman may need to succeed. Someone who can stand on their own 2 feet, can feel very empowered as an individual to overtake whatever obstacle may be in their way without necessarily, a ton of external support. It comes to the individual, their mind, their body, and that's what it takes for them to succeed, to move forward. Yeah,
totally agree, mate. It's a good sport, mate.
Do you feel that you personally embody those characteristics as a person, or is it something that you had to kind of learn to do?
What, in strongman?
Yeah.
I sort of just take things, I'm not going to say I wing stuff, but I sort of just go on my stride. I just see how things go. Because I could have been like, I might not like this comp. And then I done it, I was like, this is a novice comp. And I was just like, nah, that's it. It was a clicker moment. I was like, I'm committing to this. I'm not fucking around. Because when I do something, I go all in. Like, cards are on deck every time. So hence why I like the success of it. You know what I mean? I didn't do anything half-arsed, we'll say.
Right, and that completely makes sense as well as to why you would gravitate towards individual sports as well, because it puts that pressure on you, doesn't it? Like if you aren't going to go all in, who is? Your opponent potentially. There's certainly not going to be a teammate who's going all in, who's going to carry you through it, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, again, as you say, you were involved in bodybuilding, which had much of the same characteristics.
Totally. You're alone at the end of the day. When you're competing, when you're on that, like whenever you're in an event or something, you're alone and you have to fucking perform. That's it. That's what's quite good about powerlifting as well. When you do your lift, it's you that's on the platform. It's like batting the lights on you.
Yeah,
and someone's back on.
Yeah, the spotlight's on, right?
Yeah, pretty much, literally, because there's usually a light on you.
Yeah, sure. No. So how do you deal with pressure then when you're under the spotlight, when you're taking on an event?
I'm pretty calm. I'm always like if anyone's for the people that watch us, is that if they've ever competed with me, like before events and all that kind of stuff, like before warm-ups and all that kind of stuff, I'm just genuinely enjoying myself and having a laugh and speaking to people. But when warm-ups and all that start getting called, and then names start getting called for the events and that, then it's just flicking that switch. Right, that's me. I'm in the room now. I'm not messing around. I'm here to do a job.
Right. No, and I think it's quite a good balance as well to have that, because a lot of people talk about really enjoying the sport that you do, because for a lot of people you're not getting paid, you're risking a lot potentially, so you've got to enjoy yourself. But then when the spotlight's on you, and it's really interesting how you describe it, you flick a switch and now you're that one individual in the arena, right? And the crowd's watching and it's time to go.
Like you talk about like money and all that kind of stuff. Is like the most I've ever won is £100, and that was for getting second at Europe's Strongest Man under 80s, official strongman. £100 I got, which again is better than nothing. I'm no bad mouthing it, but that's second in Europe.
Right.
That is what, isn't it? So it's not. I'm not doing it for the money, because it's not there. We need funding in strongman. But it's just it's a buzz, isn't it? and all that kind of stuff, the enjoyment, the experience, and that's it. Aye, it's fun.
Right. Yeah, the thrill of the sport and the game, and it seems as
Exactly.
if again that you know, having that aspect of it, the buzz differentiates from your experiences in bodybuilding somewhat, where it was all pain all the time.
Always, it's just always discomfort, so that's it.
So when you mentioned, you know, you're having a good time, but then your name gets called and you step up to the plate, you flick a switch.
Yeah,
What happens when you flick the switch then?
I don't know what if I can speak to anyone, and I'm thinking pretty dark and all that kind of stuff, and I'll do certain things where, like, I'll sniff a bit of ammonia, not too much, because I think people go overload on it and it genuinely just fucking fucks you up too much. So I'll just sniff a bit of ammonia, and I'll get my straps and I'll slap like my back and my thighs and my straps. There's just a little bit of pain, like heightens your senses. And then I just start sort of just pacing. I start breathing a bit harder, a bit faster, just to elevate my heart rate, just to get a bit more blood flow. And then I'm ready, and I'm just ready to go. And then, but it's like that. It's that whole, like, each event is like I'll be so heightened, and then after the event, right after, I'll just be laughing and just waving and that, because then I need to calm down. I need to bring my heart rate back down. If you see lads pacing back and forth the whole fucking day, they'll just burn themselves out because they're just so heightened the whole time. I'm like, you can't do that.
Right.
In my opinion.
No, so you have a very clear you have a very clear series of cues, little rituals that are activated when you flick that switch, kind of somatic stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Like, down to fucking what I eat in the morning, everything has to be exactly what I do. Everything specifically, because everything's like that. It's that everything has to be in alignment. It's obviously the placebo effect's huge as well, but me doing them, putting the foods in it, has a placebo effect in my mind, knowing I've done exactly what I always do, and I make sure nothing falls out of alignment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So your preparedness, and even the small things, even the what may not actually in real time have a major effect on your performance, getting those things right gives that confidence boost that's necessary for you to succeed.
Like, psychologically, it'll affect me massively, which is more important than physically, to be honest. Because it's a pilot that's flying the plane, innit? So that's the way I keep it in my mind, mate. That's the most important bit, as a pilot.
Well, I'm glad. No, I know.
Sorry, after you, mate.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, I appreciate that analogy. Yeah, no, phenomenal, man. Like, the fact that you mentioned the you being positive, really happy. Switch goes, and then aggression, these kind of systematic cues you engage. You know, physiologically and psychologically, the ammonia as well, and then some dark thoughts, and then you're back out of it again, and you're high-fiving people and you're smiling and laughing. Isn't that? I find that fascinating to see how it can turn on and off like that.
It's flicking the switch off and on, isn't it? Like, the whole preparation, like my final week, we'll call it a deload week. Like, I always get 2-hour soft tissue massage. I'll do flotation therapy, where you're in like a salt bath, like pod, if you've ever had that. So it's pretty much a sensory deprivation. So you're in a pod and Epsom salts, just lying there for an hour. It's the only time you're actually fully weightless. You know, you're lying on your bed, like, you might think you're weightless, but you're still getting compression in your spine and your muscles and that. When you're in a flotation therapy, you're genuinely weightless, and it actually just gives you a nice reset feeling. Ice baths, hot and cold, and obviously I'll do a wee bit of light lifting the week before, and I'll just make sure everything's, all my kit's ready. Everything has to. I'll get a list, and I'll write everything out, and I'll check it, and I'll tick it off, and I'll double check it, and I'll be like, right, everything's done. And then it's just genuinely just go to wherever this location is. I've competed in different countries like Finland and America and all that kind of stuff. I was meant to go to Finland again for the SCL World Champs, but then it got postponed, which was shit, but whatever.
So,
what'd you do?
Hi. So you have this this series of rituals even a week before, if I'm understanding that right.
Oh yeah, a week out. Fucking everything has to be in alignment. Like, even the day that I get my soft tissue massage has to be on that day. things like that. It can't be a day before or 2 days before. It's like 3-4 days out, usually on a Wednesday if I'm competing on the Saturday. It's just shit like that.
And it's fascinating though, the way that you describe it. You know what you need, and you meticulously meet those needs over the course of time. When one would expect that the pressure is building. This is a period where a less experienced athlete is going to be feeling under the hammer, right? They're overthinking what's going to happen, and you counteract that by managing as many things as you can control, right?
Yeah.
As you say, as simple as when on what day you have the physio appointment, and then that mental deload with the Epsom flotation bath as well, which is really interesting, by the way. I've heard about that, but never done it
It's good.
myself.
I'd recommend it if obviously like lockdown eases and that. I'd strongly recommend it. Quite good, just mentally, we'll say, like mentally resetting, genuinely just floating for an hour. But I'm mega relaxed like the week, like on like deload week or the week of the comp. Nerves will only really kick in like maybe the day before, but I'm trying to not even think of the comp the day before. But on the morning of waking on the comp, I'm like playing fucking Metallica when I'm having a shower and I'm getting ready. Shit like that. Just Pantera, like all the good stuff.
Yeah. No, you also, I mean, it's interesting that you said that. And if anyone follows Dean, they will know this. You like your music a lot.
Yeah.
To build that atmosphere pre-comp, pre-training session. Tell me about music. What do you do with regards to your pre-training, pre-hype music?
If we're going, for example, tomorrow, like I'll just play some form of usually Hans Zimmer or like some sort of metal, 5-finger death punch. Anything that it's usually like more like Hans Zimmer, we'll say, just in general because he's that good. Or it's sort of like some form of metal. And then I'll have a can of rain. Funny old thing.
Yeah.
As I'm on route. And then, but even that, like I'll have to have a form of caffeine. Even if it's just half a scoop of pre-workout, it's that placebo effect of knowing I've took something to help my performance in some definite psychological way anyway with caffeine, but like just that little physical aspect. All my kit's packed, I'm just ready to go. I've had enough food. I always give it like an hour to an hour and a half before I have my pre-workout so it's digested properly. I wouldn't do any earlier. Just get it done, ready to go. Visualize myself doing the first thing. I've got everything written out, what I'm going to do. I'm like, well, usually, majority of the time. And that's it. Because I do my own programming as well, which I've had the pleasure of being coached by MST Systems, Shane Germain, and Flash, and I've been coached briefly of Delroy McQueen as well, which is good because I've learnt a lot from them. But now I know what works for me, what ticks for me, and I'm happy with it. But
right.
Bye. Sorry, I went off a tangent now. I went from music to coaching.
No, we like tangents, as much information as possible. Really, I think all the viewers and listeners will agree. We've got some amazing stuff when it comes to how you approach competing, how you approach pressure. I'm really grateful for your insights. And honestly, I'm all for tangents. So with regards to music, you have what gets you going. What kind of artist, kind of genre associates with certain moods, certain training. There's an emotional component to that, right? There's that arousal that is correlated to music specifically.
100%. Like if I'm like, for example, tomorrow I think I've got like a 3RM on my axle deadlift. Like I'll be playing Game of Thrones, The Night King. I've already got in my mind what I'm going to do, what exact song I'm going to play, because it fucking absolutely sends me off. Like I can actually get a chill now. I can feel a wee chill in my arms just fit. No, I sitting cues and song, and it's just I'm like, right, go. And I'll fucking pull whatever.
Oh man, I'll do my best not to interrupt you, but you're just what you're saying is resonating quite heavily with me personally, with my own training. So I can really like visualize you doing that, kind of having that, exactly what emotion you expect to feel, what sensations you expect to feel when you approach the actual deadlift or whatever training stimulus you have, and then you correlate the music with that directly. So it's like that the Pavlov's dog experiment, like the stimulus equals the response beforehand, right? It's the same. It's the same kind of thing. And I remember, I think it was Benny Magnuson who said, when he goes for a heavy deadlift, he has pulled that deadlift 1,000 times in his mind. So it doesn't really matter where he is, what's happening around him. All it is him and the deadlift, and then you add music to that, and you get something else that triggers it.
Yeah, it's wild, man, because it's like I pulled like the new Scottish under 80 record. I pulled 291 kilo as an under 80, and I done the log at 100 and what did I do? I think it was 126. Did I? Mate, I should know that, but I broke the Scottish under 80 record. Mate, that is shocking. I should probably know that. But the going back to the deadlift, this is an important one. Like I played a song called "The Last of the Mohicans," which is a film, and there's a certain bit, and like I had my top off as well, which I don't know why. It just does something else for me. And then I'm slapping myself with my straps, and I'm sniffing ammonia. And like, but by then, because I knew there was two guys before me. And that's when I'm getting ready, and like I genuinely could have fucking ripped someone's throat out just before it. Like I got that hyped up. I was like, and then I just pulled the 291. I should have done 300, to be honest. I went for the 300 for my final lift, but I cooked myself because I used all my mental energy and physical energy, obviously, into that 291. And I was like, because I pulled up at the top and I was happy. I was like, yeah, slammed it down. And then you didn't see it in the video, but after it, I'm just a bit like. It's always that little form of dissatisfaction, and I think that's what makes some people tick more and makes them develop more. You know what I mean? There's always that. You always want to progress that wee bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's sport all day, isn't it?
There's always more that you expect from yourself, but you have enough to be satisfied for the moment.
I was content, mate. I broke 2 Scottish records in one day. You can't, and I could have got that British under 80s record, but it will happen eventually. I've no doubt, because I've done it unofficially, which doesn't count because it's unofficial, but it'll happen soon enough.
I have no doubt that it will. I mean, I think that's and kind of going back to everything you've described with regards to your approach to PRs, your approach to competition. For you, and again, please disagree with me here, but from what I've seen, and I guarantee you all, if you follow Dean, what you'll see is you have an extreme like power of visual affirmation. You always say, almost without exception, right? I'm going to break this record at this comp, and it's going to happen. And then you always do. Literally for maybe the last year, from what I've seen following you, you've said Scottish record's going, it's going, 90's going, it's going, And I'll be honest, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on you every single time, because it's very clear that you've bet on yourself first, right? And you're not going to lose that money.
Aye, it's I like the mental pressure and all that kind of stuff. So I just enjoy it, mate. I just love it just kept getting better and better and better. I think the turning point was when I won the WHE Worlds, which is like the BNSF's, like that's a British Natural Strongman Federation, which has actually grown and grown. But I've never won the Scottish, but I've won the British, and I won the Worlds in Finland, and that was a turning point. I was like, I'm fucking really, really going to start put my name in the sport, and I'm going to. Inspire is a bit a strong word, but I want to encourage people to start doing strongman at the end of the day. It's good.
No, I can tell, and it's reflecting in your performance as well. And just here on this segment today, talking about your strategies, it's clear that you've been through the ringer. You've had your experiences, you've had your highs and lows, and you are very aware of what you need to succeed, and how to specify that, and how to employ it, when it counts as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So you mentioned you want to inspire, right? And I think this is a good kind of, as we draw to a close here, I think this is a good kind of way to close off. If you had to say one thing to aspiring strong men, strong women in any weight class, any walk of life, what would you say?
You're already strong enough. Yeah. There you go. You're only going to get stronger. You're already strong enough. Stop waiting about. Stop fucking waiting for something. Nothing's going to happen until you do something. There you go. Obviously, COVID,
Yeah.
delaying comps, but exclude that. Get a comp under your belt, and you won't regret it. And take it for there.
Just start the ball rolling.
Just get it going. The snowball's not going to get any bigger if you're going to kick it down the helmet. There you go.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. So finally, what is next for you as a competitor?
Be 3 times Scotland's strongest man under 80s, because I hold it twice now. 2 times Scotland's strongest Scotland's strongest man under 90s 2 times. I'll get a 300 kilo deadlift at least minimum. Break the British under 80s log record. I've got the Arnold's in Ohio end of the year. I wouldn't mind a podium there. Get top 10 at World's Strongest Man under 80s this year as well in November. That's happening definitely. And I just, if any other wee things pop up, I'll do them. But that's the main focus. Powerlifting's, I'm not interested in powerlifting at all at the moment. It's full in, cards on deck with Strongman. I'm enjoying it. I've not got too many injuries.
Awesome. No, I can tell, and honestly, best of luck to you. I can't wait to see you continue to crush those goals, man. It's gonna be very exciting. In particular, the Arnold. I think the Arnold coming to the UK. But yeah, you kind of taking that to the lighter weight classes and making your mark there as well.
That's it. Just growing the sport at the end of the day. That's the key, especially for the smaller guys as well, and the smaller girls as well, etc. It's always that. You know, you don't have to be fucking 120 plus kilo. You know, it's got that, I'm not going to say it's got that stigma behind it, but it's like, Yankee strong, man, Yankee big. I'm like, I think strong.
Right, the old Louis Simmons quote: "Big isn't strong,
Yeah.
strong is strong."
Exactly, mate. I really have a lot of time for him. I really like Louis Simmons. Aye, but anyway, we went off on another one.
No, it's always good, man. It's always good. Awesome. So finally, mate, where can everyone watching this find you then?
It's just Dean Mcvie Strength on Instagram. I'm not that active on Facebook. It's a bit shit. But MCVIE. That's how you say my surname. But that's it, man.
Class. I'll pop that down. I'll pop that down in the description, guys, if you want to, and I highly recommend that you do. Go head over to Dean, give him a follow, and yeah, I expect great things.
Cheers.
It was a pleasure to have you on, mate. I'm gonna bring everything to a close now. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this second episode. I think there's been a ton of fantastic information, and once again, been a pleasure to have you as our inaugural strongman competitor on this series. Looking forward to having you on again, mate.
Cheers, my man. Thank you.
Lovely.